The Rickey Smiley Morning Show.
It's the front page news.
It's what's trending now.
Ladies and gentlemen, y'all please help me welcome National Action Network President and founder, the one and only Reverend Al Sharpton. Good morning.
Good morning.
Man, it seemed like you was in my house yesterday because you was on every single channel. And I know you had a real busy day yesterday, and happy to have you. Thank you for joining us this morning. And it's pretty ironic that the main topic of discussion on Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day was whether or not Congress will get voter right legislation passed. And what do you think, Reverend Al, Dr. King would say, if he was alive, to see this uphill battle that we are facing just to protect voter rights?
I think that he would probably be very, very concerned and outright upset that here we are, 2022, fighting over what he and John Lewis and others got done in 65 and renewed every 7 years. And here we are at the state where we are seeing the country turn back state by state. You have 19 states so far, Ricky, that have made new laws, 33 laws in voting regulation. And the only thing that will stop them is federal legislation. All we need is 50 Democrats to stand and say, we want a new rule so that we can go around the filibuster, which means we don't need 60 votes. It could be a majority vote. And two of the Democrats won't go with us. We met with Sinema. We met with Manchin. They keep holding out. So we keep putting the pressure on. Chuck Schumer, the head of the Democrats in the Senate, was with us at National Action Network yesterday. He said he's going to call the vote today. I just do not, for the life of me, understand why we are allowing Manchin and Sinema to go against a sitting Democratic president and the Democratic leadership.
Real quick, Reverend, I know Special K wanted to ask them, but just what are their issues?
They are saying that they want to do it a bipartisan way, that they don't want it just a Democratic vote. But when we met with Manchin several months ago, he said, well, let me draft a bill the Republicans will go with. We would let him draft a bill, which is the Freedom to Vote bill. He couldn't get one Republican. It is that they are playing to a base in their states that don't want to see voting rights. That's what it is. And just as we had Dixiecrats before that blocked civil rights legislation that we had to get around, we are seeing them behaving as if they're that block today. And we've got to stand up to them.
So, Reverend Sharpton, and in addressing what you were just talking about with the new laws in those 19 states, what more, or is there anything at this point, and also the two senators that are blocking, what more can we do on our part out here to help push this? Like, what more can we do other than write letters and contact our representatives? What more can we realistically do?
Well, I think that writing letters and contacting your senators is one thing, and it shouldn't be dismissed. But I think the plan B is that if they start the debate today and do not get the vote, then we must be prepared to go back in force to the president and Department of Justice to have the Justice Department challenge these state laws one by one and to see what the president can do with executive order. We did not want to go to Plan B until Plan A was totally exhausted. And we have a roll call to see which side everybody's on. But we are prepared as soon as the vote goes down, and if these two do not come back, to go to Biden and say, under executive order, you can do A, B, C, D, and get those done, and have Garland and the Department of Justice go into these states and sue and helpfully get the courts to stay some of these laws as unconstitutional.
Reverend Al, before you go, please tell us about your new book, Righteous Troublemakers, Untold Stories of the Social Justice Movement in America. So excited about this book. Please tell us about it.
Well, I felt that there were key people in the struggle for civil and human rights that had never got the attention they deserved. If you ask the average person who's Claudette Colvin, they don't know. She was a young woman, kid, that sat in the front of the bus in Montgomery and was arrested for not giving up her seat during segregation 9 months before Rosa Parks. But nobody knew her story because they said, well, we don't want to rally around her. She's dark-skinned because she's pregnant, not married. No one knew attorney Pauli Murray. Pauli Murray wrote a lot of the legal doctrines that Thurgood Marshall used in the historic Brown versus Board of Education fight. They didn't want to exalt her and expose and give her the kind of credit because she was a woman in the 50s. They didn't do that, and she was gay. So I said, no, these people need to be written about. People need to know about them. And while I have the limelight, I want to be able to put the limelight on those that paved the way. So it's a book about people that made pivotal moves, and people should buy it. It's in the bookstores now. When I told Rickey about his sister, he thought I was talking about him, but I'm talking about those that did before us.
Right.
Yes, and we need that. We need that. We need that inspiration, and we need those stories told. Reverend Al Sharpton, you have done so much for the civil rights movement, of course, through the National Action Network. How do you feel about young adults and our youth and moving the civil rights movement forward and you know, these new leaders coming up? What message do you have for them?
I'm encouraged by many of them right in National Action Network. And my message to them is don't go what is trending, go what is truthful. A lot of them just want to get something and say something provocative and get a trending thing going and likes on their social media. No, do something that will last decades from now. Don't be so caught up in how young you are because you're getting older every day. Be caught up on how right you are and get old doing right.
Hey Reverend Al, before we let you go, just real quick, how old were you when Dr. King was assassinated? And did you, I always wondered this. I think I heard you talk about it before, but I just couldn't remember. And it just killed my curiosity yesterday. Did you ever get to meet Dr. King or see any of his speeches live? And how old were you?
I was 13 when he was killed. I had just become youth director of his organization in New York because I wasn't a Southern. I'm from New York. And I did see him twice. He came to my church twice. I did remember the day he died because I was part of the organization. I was just 13 years old. But I was able to, down through the years, work very closely with his wife and his son and I, as you know, work hand in hand. And he's the one that united me with his mother. So I got to know a lot about Dr. King from my association with Mrs. King.
Oh, wow, Remal. Thank you for sharing that. Hey, Remal, one day, can you just come on the show? We just want to ask random civil rights stuff and just talk to us about, you know, just stuff that's just outside of the regular interview questions like what we had this morning. I would love to have you come on and share some of those small stories. Like, you know, I'm real good friends with, we have some of the same circle of friends, you know, Reverend Jackson. You know, I didn't know that Dr. King, you know, would always pop a lifesaver before he's, you know, would make a speech. A lot of people didn't know that Dr. King was a pool shark, you know, that he would run the table on a pool table, that he went to the nightclubs and would shoot pool with people when they were trying to tell people that the bus boycott was not over. And just a lot of little stuff and how funny. And Reverend Jesse Jackson, I get a chance to hang out with him. I get so many people, Miss Clayton, you know, would tell me some of the jokes that Dr. King was really, really hilarious. And he always liked the best at telling jokes when him and some of the other pastors would get together the night before, you know, a speech during dinner. And they would just, I want to know some of those stories, Reverend. Now, you come on with us.
I'd love to come on and tell the stories, and because people forget that he and those of us that came behind him that certainly didn't reach his level are human beings, and people need to know their stories. And they need to know, you know, I know stories about Miss Clayton and Reverend Jackson. I even know some stories about Rickey Smiley.
Hey, Reverend, don't make me pull out that old picture that we took when I was working for the Dub Banks Morning Show. Hey, Reverend, I love you so much, man, from one boy of an Ada to another boy of an Ada. You know, both my grandmama and your mama, they got the same first name, so that's my little connection to you. And I just absolutely love you, Reverend Al, and you have just been awesome in my life, and I really appreciate you. Ladies and gentlemen, please make sure you pick up a copy of his new book, Righteous Troublemakers. That's right. Makers. Righteous Troublemakers. All right, Untold Stories of the Social Justice Movement in America. Y'all give it up and show your love right now for the one and only Reverend Al Sharpton.
Love you, Rickey.
All right, love you, Reverend Al.